A huge majority believe that it's time for a change, but most think that Keir Starmer isn't offering it. We're going to read into this more from Byline Times, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from Byline Times with the headline that a huge majority believe that it's time for a change. But most think that Keir Starmer isn't offering it. 8 out of 10 voters want a shift in direction, but fear there is little difference between the two major parties, according to a new poll for Byline Times. Before I give my thoughts, guys, if you can hit the like button, I'd greatly appreciate it, and share this across social media so other people are aware of this video. So, I am not surprised by this headline and a poll like this. Now, obviously, I have to put the caveat in when it comes to polls. As I always say, guys, take polls with a pinch of salt. Things change all the time. Always take polls with a pinch of salt, regardless of how reliable or unreliable polls are. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is exactly what's going to happen, but it may or may not give an insight into what people's minds are thinking. I strongly believe that people want change. I strongly believe that the majority of people, in not just in England but in the whole of the UK, in all four nations, want some kind of change for the better. Now, obviously, for Scotland, the people want independence there. For those in Northern Ireland, they want the Assembly to come together because they're tired of having things being done by Westminster. For Wales, they have their Wales, it's not so much independence, but obviously that is in the background of being talked about. But they obviously want better. Obviously, they want a better future for themselves, as does England. People want something different. People want something new. They want something fresh. Is Keir Starmer that person? Not really, because he's been very, very cautious. And there have been times on this channel where I have chastised Keir Starmer, and you know how I feel about West Streeting as well, and some of the comments that he's made about the NHS. There are many concerns about the Labour Party, of an incoming Labour Party, and what they could potentially be doing. So I'm not going to sit here and defend Labour, because that would be foolhardy. But at the same time, I am going to say to you guys is, we've had the same political party in power for a long time. Now, yes, it was a coalition between the Conservatives and Lib Dems for several years before the Conservatives took full control. But they have been in power for a long time, the Conservatives. It's 14 years. It's a very, very long time for one party. And after such a long time, guys, it can get stagnated. The ideas start to run out. New ideas, new changes and things. People want something different. Now, of course, we are stuck, with the system that we have in place, the electoral system that we have in place. We're stuck to choose between Conservatives and Labour. Now, of course, many Conservative voters will choose that, you know what, I don't trust Labour, I don't trust Keir Starmer, and that's totally your view, and I'm going to vote Reform. I'm going to be voting Green at the next general election. At the moment, that's my intention. My intention is to vote Green. But we both know that voting Reform or voting Green, are they going to have are those votes going to make a massive difference when it comes to things that we want for the benefit of the country by voting for them? You know, I don't like our system, our first past the post system. I think it's absolutely terrible. I think it fundamentally takes away our rights to be able to vote for a party that we want to. I feel that we don't have much of a say about what goes on in our country. But what I will say in terms of the Green Party, and I generally mean this, is that while one thing about them is they don't have, as far as I'm aware, since I've been following them and politics for quite a while, I don't see dark money. I see dark money in the Reform Party. I've seen dark money in the Brexit Party. We know about the dark money in the Conservative Party, and it doesn't surprise me that there is some dark money in the Labour Party as well, because we know that there are people looking to influence the Labour Party for their own benefits and needs as well. Even though there are unions that unions still have a strong say in the Labour Party, there is dark money pouring in to Labour Party if you're not already aware. But I don't hear it so much from the Greens. I'm not talking about the Lib Dems because they're supposed to be a party that's supposed to stand for, supposed to be a liberal party, but you don't really see that with them. I know that I don't pay enough attention to them, if I'm honest, but I don't know if they're worth voting for. One thing I do believe is that people want something different. The vast majority of the British public, want something different, but they're not sure whether or not they want to trust Keir Starmer with the keys to it. And what you're noticing out there is, and I've talked about this at the start of the year when I talked about election year, in the election year video, and I'm going to remind you guys again, there is going to be a shit ton of misinformation going to be put out there for you guys. And I've said this before, and I've said this again. People will say or do anything to get people to vote for you, or to make you vote somewhere that is no beneficial to you. Now, I'm in a Labour stronghold where I am, so my vote has little to no effect. But you may be in an area where your vote can have a significant impact on the general election. It is so important that you do vote. It really does if you're in those areas. I can understand why you feel the need to not vote for any more politicians. I can understand why you don't want to. Please vote. It really does matter. Your voice does matter. Even though these politicians may not care about you, your voice matters. It really, really does. Even if you and I right now, and you fundamentally disagree with a lot of things that I say, your vote still matters. And if you're not going to vote for the party that you've always voted for, if that means you're not going to vote for Labour, or you're not going to vote for Conservatives, you're going to vote. If you're going to go and cast your vote for Reform, that's your choice. That's your choice to do so. But don't sit at home, choose not to vote, and then complain about whatever happens at the next general election, because you have no right to say anything, because you chose not to have a vote. Now, like I said, just because I'm in a constituency where it's a Labour stronghold doesn't mean that I'm still not going to cast my vote, because I still think it matters. And from the things that I've seen from the Green Party and the gains that they're making in council seats gives me belief. But I don't know if Reform are going to make the same gains, but they are definitely going to split Conservative voters one way or another. So before again we read in the article, if you can again like and share, that really does help this video. But do we think that Keir Starmer is going to make the change that we believe? This polling thinks so. What about you? I'm sorry, I said that wrong, didn't I? This polling doesn't think so. But what about you? I've said it right now. So 8 out of 10 voters said it's time for change at the next general election, but only a minority believe Keir Starmer will deliver it, according to a new poll commissioned by Byline Times. Pollsters We Think have asked UK voters whether they believe it is now time for a change at the next general election, and they found that an overwhelming 79% of voters now believe it is, compared to just 21% who disagreed. So 79%, obviously, like I said, don't take it too seriously, it is just a poll, but that's quite a huge percentage. Even those who are still planning to vote for Conservative appear to believe the country needs a new direction, with 40% agreeing that it's time for a change compared to 60% who do not. That's a fascinating one. So people who are still planning to vote Conservative still want something different. Curious. That's very interesting, that is. That tells me, just based on this poll, this gives me the indication that there are Conservative voters out there who are still going to vote Conservative, but they do not like Rishi Sunak, they don't like this current party and the direction that it is going. That's kind of what it reads to me. Yet, despite the apparent demand for change, voters have doubts over whether Keir Starmer and the Labour Party will be able to deliver it. I think it's also important to put an important caveat in, is that what media, what newspapers and tabloids and what mainstream media, what you read, can also dictate your opinion as well. It's always we have to be very careful as well with that as well. So I also think that plays a factor into it as well, about how we feel about a certain political party and how we vote, how we want to vote at the next general election. I do think that plays a role in it too. So according to our poll, 57% of voters agree with the statement that there is a little real difference between Labour and the Conservatives, compared to just 43% who believe that Labour is offering real change. I'm not feeling like, I mean, I think when the manifestos come out, that's when we can really look at, okay, what are Labour really going to give us? You know, that's when the real questions will. That's when I really think the real questions will come in. When all the manifestos come out from all the parties, I think that's when we're going to really dive in, guys, and think, okay, this is what is Labour going to actually offer. Okay, let's have a look at what Labour's manifesto commitments are. That will be interesting. According to our survey, fewer than half, 45% of UK voters believe a government led by Keir Starmer will be significantly different to the one led by Rishi Sunak. With 36% believing that they were broadly similar, and a further 19% are unsure. Even many Labour voters have their doubts about Starmer's ability to deliver change, according to our poll, with 49% saying they believe a Starmer administration would be broadly similar to the one led by the current Prime Minister. These doubts are also shared by current Conservative Party voters, who are split down the middle on whether Starmer would really mark a significant break from the one led by their own party. Fewer than half, 43% of Conservative voters believe a Starmer government would be significantly different from a Sunak government, with 40% believing it would be broadly similar. You have to remember, Labour have not been in power for 14 years. And you're not hearing, one of the other things as well, guys, you're not hearing a lot of sleaze from Labour. You're not hearing a lot of sleaze and a lot of corruption from the Labour Party. Let's be very clear about that. There have been one or two, but not in comparison to the Conservatives. The amount of stench and corruption coming from the Conservative government is huge. So I think that's important to state as well. While voters are clear that they want change, there are more split on whether their changing strategy is required from Labour leadership in order to demonstrate this. According to poll, voters are split on whether Labour's current approach is too cautious, 14%, too risky, 17%, or just about right, 39%. They are similarly split on whether Labour opposes the Conservatives too little, 18%, too much, 90%, or get the balance right, 39%. The sentiments picked up in the poll are also shared by voters in focus groups, according to Luke Charles, who conducts regular sessions around the country for the organisation. More in common. One of the things, aside from the headline result, that I'm most interested about in the next general election is what turnout will be like, and whether it will be a low turnout, Charles told Byline Times. These people aren't just enthusiastic at the moment, they broadly want change, but they aren't sure that change is on offer. I think that's a fair comment. Yeah, that's the other thing as well, is we haven't even talked about voter ID and how that's going to impact people's being able to, the ability to vote as well, guys. You know, voter ID. You have to remember that you need to bring ID. You need to be registered to be able to cast your vote as well. That's going to have an impact on this general election. We've never had a general election where voter ID is going to be on the ballot as well. You know, if you don't bring ID, you're not going to be able to cast your vote. There's so many factors, but again, we don't know, as of right now of this recording, we don't know if it's going to be in spring, we don't know if it's going to be autumn, we don't even know if it's going to be late December, January time. We don't know when the general election is going to be called. One thing that I know is I am sick and tired of the Conservatives, and I want something different. I personally want something different. Now, I don't know how many of you feel that way, but I want something different. But I don't trust Keir Starmer. But I do believe that if you are in an area where, in terms of tactical voting, you have a choice between voting Conservative and Labour, and you have the chance to put a Labour person in, I would encourage you to vote Labour, simply because we need something different. Now, if you're in a tactical voting position where you have to choose between the Conservatives and Lib Dems instead of Conservatives, Lib Dem and Labour, because Lib Dems have a better chance of winning your seat, then vote for the Lib Dems. Is my personal opinion. It's up to you how you want to cast your vote. But I would encourage you guys, if you have the opportunity to oust the Conservative in your constituency, please do so. For the benefit of the whole of the UK, not just for England. We need something different. And yes, I can assure you that this channel, along many other channels, will be holding Labour to account. And trust me, there are certain medias out there who are going to be really holding Labour to account as well if they do come in. But we need something new, guys. And whatever you see regarding the Conservatives in terms of propaganda material, they have not given a damn about you. Think about your areas, your local areas, yeah? 14 years is a long time. That's a big chunk of your life as well. Yeah, we're talking about, we're talking a huge amount of your lifespan under this Conservative Party. Has your life gotten better? Has your family's lives gotten better? Are you able, what about the younger generation? Is your children able to afford a home? Are they able to afford to pay their bills? Are they able to afford rental accommodations? Are they able to get a GP appointment? I remember under the Labour government, everyone was able to get their appointments with a GP. We didn't have a problem with the National Healthcare Service. Their main focus right now is this whole Rwanda bill. They're not even willing to deal with the immigration problem, the Conservatives. There is little to no benefit to vote for them. But is Keir Starmer that difference maker? Time will tell. So what do you guys think? What are your thoughts about Keir Starmer? Do you trust him? Do you not trust him? Give me your honest opinions about this upcoming general election. Your thoughts about the media, the misinformation, about this poll. Do you believe this poll in that people want change but they don't trust Keir Starmer? Curious to hear your thoughts about this. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys honestly think. If you can, hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share this across social media and hit that bell notification icon so you'll be notified when I upload another video. And of course, if you want to financially support me in the work I do on here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for just 99p. Or if you want even more content from me, you can join my Patreon for exclusive content there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.